Hi, this is Dominic Keating. I played Lieutenant Malcolm Reed on Enterprise, as you probably know, and you are listening to the NX 7062 podcast. Enjoy.
Well, hello, NX 7062 podcast viewers. Hello, hello, hello. I love it. All you early birds hanging out with me, Dave. And I don't know, I guess Uncle Hairball had to jet, but like he said, he's going to get to watch it on the replay. Hello, Robert and Dave. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I am just waiting for my very special guest to pop into the green room because he has decided he is going to be fashionably late. And Dave, I am so glad. I've been really, hey Alan, I've been really looking forward to this as well. But while we are waiting for the one and only Peter Macon, hey War Dog from the blue skies, from the dark skies of New Jersey, because it's really dark now at like 5 o'clock at night. Hello, thank you so much for being here, guys. We're going to take care of some shuttle pod show stuff while we're waiting for Peter to show up because he's being fashionably late, as I said. Okay, so shuttle pod show yesterday. If you missed it, when all this is said and done, go back and watch it. It was fantastic. Robbie Duncan McNeil, just a really great, down to earth guy. And I think he's one of the only, I mean, I'm sure there are other people out there, but nobody that I've seen that said, all right, I've given up acting for directing. I prefer to be behind the cameras. I know I think Frakes actually might have said something like that on the cruise. Come to think of it, when I literally bumped into him in the casino. Hey, Nancy. Um, but yeah, it's just interesting to hear an actor that's like, nah, I'm done with the acting thing. I think I just like being in the catbird seat and being in charge and doing all of the stuff behind the camera. And and of course, and then they were talking about, when you're an actor and you direct, and it does definitely give you a different vision of what kind of director you want to be. And Robbie had some lovely things to say about his directing strategies and his style. And like I said, if you missed it, go back and watch it. It was a lot of fun. Robbie was great. Mark, you get to see Mark, because Dominic was out of town. I think he was in San Francisco going to go see Queen in concert. So he was enjoying some music while they were enjoying Robbie Duncan McNeil. Can't blame him for that. Um, and I did catch some of the really cool pictures on his Instagram at the home of Starfleet, the future home of Starfleet Academy. Okay, so there's that. And as promised, Mark has given, had said just very recently, like maybe in the last hour, found out that he is going to be launching the pre-sale of tickets for the Shuttle Pod Show Live, which will be happening in April. They picked the weekend that got voted on by the fans as the best weekend to do this. Hold on. Darn it. That's what I was looking for. The weekend that was voted on by the fans as the best weekend to do this, April 12th, 13th, and 14th. So it's mid-April. That's a really good round date. The cruise will have already come back. There's the Star Trek convention that Creation is hosting at the very beginning of March in San Francisco, which listen, if I had the money and the time, I would be doing both. But if I had to choose between a Creation event, and don't get me wrong, love you Creation, can't wait for Vegas. If I had to choose between hold on one second. One thing I can't do. And see, this is okay. Um, okay. So if I had to pick between the Shuttle Pod Show Live and a Creation event, as much as I love Creation and karaoke and everything else, hey JR. So I'm going to pick the Shuttle Pod Show Live just because I do STLV. If I could do all three, I absolutely would. But if I have to pick, it's going to be Shuttle Pod Show Live and then STLV. If a miracle happens and a ton of money rains down on me at some point, then I will be more than happy to accept to go to all three. But unfortunately, I think I'm going to miss the Creation San Francisco. But I think it's great that they're getting out there again with satellite Trek themed conventions for people that can't or just don't want to do Vegas. Jared Poole almost finished Shuttlepod Show, Robbie episode today, and pausing. Oh, you're pausing to watch Peter. Peter is having some technical difficulties. I guess, see, this is what happens when you want to be fashionably late. You have computer issues. So yeah, smaller cons are absolutely wonderful. Which I will also stump then for LOL, since leaving 911, I cannot type and talk at the same time anymore. Yeah, I can kind of type and talk. It's just I can't do my phone and talk, and that's what I was trying to do. But I can type and talk, kind of, sort of. But who else out there does this thing where if you're talking and typing and you're trying to do two different things, like you're trying to type and talk separately, you usually end up typing what you're saying instead of typing what you really mean. So Peter hopefully will be having his technical difficulties fixed, so I don't have to sit here and vamp for too long. Who was talking about Shore Leave? Yep, Shore Leave is a great JR Shuttlepod Show. Yes, Shore Leave was excellent. Shore Leave is a great small convention, and so is Trek Long Island. And I actually had dinner the other night with Stephanie Gangon. She was down in my area for an authors convention that's been going on since I think she said like 1930s. I kid you not. This is what she said. So it's been going on for a while. And she was down, introducing Trek Long Island to some new people, hoping to save some tickets, sell some tickets. So we had dinner and we were talking about all the really cool stuff that she's got coming up. Things that I need to talk to JG about, but just her goals for raising money for Chase Masterson and Pop Culture Hero Coalition, and how we're going to go about doing that. The fact that she's looking for a drag queen to do some stuff. And I think, ooh, look at this. I think, maybe, I don't know. We're going to try it because I see a face that just popped up. So let's see. And see, I waited too long. He went away. Wait. All right. So without further ado, because I'm running out of vamping, let's.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yeah, sorry. God damn it. Hey, you look great.
I'm glad you're here.
Oh man, I'm using my phone because my child did something to the cloud and my computer's not updating. So you got me like in the thumbnail. I can barely see you, but I can hear you. You look great.
As long as you can hear me, and you know what, we're live. Anybody that asks a question, I will just be more than happy to read it to you. Okay. Right now, everybody's saying hi. Everybody's excited to see you. Everybody's saying hi, Peter. So
yeah, if I can.
This is Peter. This is Bortus. This is what he looks like when he's not covered in prosthetics.
Yeah, this is the unemployed look.
Is that the unemployed look? Well, yeah. I don't know. It was kind of the same look you had when you were doing Shelter Inside. See, look at you. I'm wearing you on my shirt.
Oh, that's hilarious.
My official Shelter in,
I can't wear that as much as I'd like to. I don't think I can wear that merch.
Can't walk around with you on you.
Yeah, it's just not a good look. Just like me behind bars. I don't know what that says. I have to think of something satirical to say when I wear it. Maybe I'll wear it to the grocery store on Sunday morning. I don't know. Anyway, you look great.
Thank you.
Hair. From what I can barely see it.
From the thumbnail.
It's so good to see you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, guess what?
New York.
When was that? Oh, that was
October.
Oh man.
Early October.
Lifetime ago. Yeah. No, it's cool. I'm glad that you made it out, and I guess it's gonna be on like Amazon some other streaming platforms that Siobhan told me about like a couple days.
Oh, that's
So
amazing. It's
yeah, it's cool.
it's a fantastic film. I'm so glad the strike's over, but like like what Siobhan was saying during the Q&A for the movie, you know, the one thing the strike did, I think, was really help independent films. It kind of gave them more of a
Yeah,
foothold and
yeah,
gave more people inspiration to find other outlets besides the major studios.
yeah. No, I mean, it was great to that. I mean, in a way, it was a little bit of a blessing, not a blessing, but it was just like, well, just to be able to promote the film because it, it wasn't a studio picture and, there was no studio money involved. And, God bless Siobhan, like she just is such a hustler. And, so she raised all the money, of herself and her production company. And, they called in a lot of favors and people love doing favors for Siobhan because she's amazing. They like a lot of volunteer work, just like down and dirty, like independent filmmaking at its finest. And everybody really wanted to be there. And she just, people just bent over backwards to make it happen. And that was just a testament to just, in the climate that we were in and continue to still be in, I think. But it just gave such a bump, such a nod toward independent filmmaking. And I just think it established itself as a player, the film itself on the field, when everybody is on the bench. And I just think that it just gave I hope that it gave a lot of people some inspiration to make their own movies and not wait for, you know I just think that like I really miss independent film culture in America because like when I was in college and even in high school and stuff, I would go to like the art house, movie theaters and see crazy French films and crazy films from West Africa and yeah, like Turkey and you know what I mean, and and in the beginning of those films, you'd always see you know um, this this film, co-produced with this production company with this production company. So it took a lot of you know production companies to make one film, and I feel like that's kind of back. Well, the spirit of Shelter in Solitude is in that world where it's just like it's just not studio, you know, uh, money. I mean, it just like
Yeah.
it just gives. I think some hope it gives some inspiration to people, production companies, because I mean, you look at now, you go to films, it's like even studio films, it's like you have uh, studios joining forces to create one film. It's not just like Warner Brothers or Universal or
Right.
So it's cool. I do hope that the independent film is on the rise.
I think what Shelter in Solitude says, and what a lot of the other independent films say, is you don't need the studio money to tell a good story.
Yeah, because a lot of times that money comes with notes. You know what I mean, and artistic shackles.
Artistic, depending on, you can put that almost in quotes, depending on who thinks that they know
Well, yeah,
better. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's always in quotes because
Yeah.
it's, So anyway, yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't know how the film is doing or how it did. I'm not really good at tracking that kind of stuff, but I'm just happy. I mean, a lot of people saw it. Like my mom lives at this assisted living facility, and like she organized like a field trip.
A field trip to see it, because
On the bus, like the little short bus, and
that's great.
she's like, "You didn't tell me." Spoiler alert! Did you die? And I'm like, "Mom, I'm in death. I'm on death row. It's an independent film. It's not a Hollywood ending. What do you expect?" But a lot of people,
my God.
like, "You made me cry." I'm like, "Okay, well."
You made me cry before the end of the movie. Let's
Yeah.
face it. There were just some amazing work with just you and Siobhan that was just
That was fun.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to meet her because she was so busy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But her energy is just so
Relentless.
unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a firecracker, and she's really funny. And I swear, it's like she seems like her brain moves so fast, I mean, it's like, did this woman
Yes.
just like slam an 8 ball? Like, what is going on? But she's like, her
And
brain is
what?
like,
Because she wrote the movie over COVID in what, a few weeks? I
yeah,
mean,
like 3 weeks. I think she
yeah,
wrote the movie.
she wrote the movie.
Um,
And actually, I'm going to get into something like, if you wouldn't mind, you said JR wants to know where it's going to be streaming. You said you had heard hopefully soon.
well, yeah, I know Amazon for sure. There's something called Voodoo.
Yep.
And-
VUDU.
yeah,
Voodoo.
VUDU. I feel like Apple picked it up, and I think they're waiting for some other things. But I could tell you, but I literally have to go into my phone to look at my text messages.
Don't touch your phone.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. 'Cause
JR also wants to know if you listen to Andre 3000 albums.
not well. I'm waiting for the new one. I'm really curious about.
Okay.
That hasn't dropped. I don't know if it's out yet, but it's like him. He's like playing like it's a wind instrument album. I'm super
Oh, that's
curious
interesting.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of people with unrelenting, boundless energy, it also sounds like somebody else you might have worked with who also had a couple of small parts on Enterprise. Somebody that I think you know very well, who you know I fangirl out about every time I talk about him, and that would be the one and only Seth MacFarlane.
Oh yeah. Oh, Sethy Pants.
He is a
Seth is a
fantastic
robot. I know.
Huh?
He's a robot. I swear to God.
He's inhuman.
No, I think he's like the you know the unofficial like AI test. As I swear I saw him changing his battery one day on set. I'm like, aha. No, all kidding aside, says Borders. No, he's amazing, man. And like the cool thing about Seth, is that, he got started, I think right out of RISD, but like he's always been a creative, you know what I mean? Like his sister told us about like this scale model that he made of the Enterprise out of cardboard and Christmas lights when he was like 14, right?
My God.
You know what I mean? So I mean, and he's like an illustrator, he's like an animator, an illustrator, and I mean, he's not an illustrator. Well, I mean, yeah, he's an illustrator. An incredible songbird. And
Oh my God, yep.
Like, I think he's playing Rockefeller Center, like for the lighting of the Christmas tree or something. I think.
Oh my God. That's one of the things I told you. As much I think he's incredibly talented. I think as a writer, his storytelling is fantastic. But if I had a chance to meet him, I think the first thing I'd want to talk to him about is his music.
Yeah. He's going over to his house. He has a beautiful house, obviously, but like, but it's, he's got this giant, beautiful grand piano, and like this, beautiful like bass, and like, he'll just sit down and noodle, and every once in a while he'll post something on Instagram, like name that tune, like he's a big show tunes guy.
Yes.
And and he's just like he's a great crooner, you know what I mean? Like his Christmas parties are off the chain, and like he'll have like a 50-piece big band, and he's like doing like the Sinatra, the whole thing, like, I mean, and so he's it's not just like the weirdest thing that he did like he sang the hook on somebody's hip hop.
I love that.
I forget who it was, but like, yeah, I was like, what? Okay.
JR says Seth has a wonderful big band voice. He really does. For anybody that actually doesn't know, and when I found this out, it just made so much sense. The song in Ted 2 that they sing, Mean Old Moon, that they sing around the campfire, which sounds like something that got pulled right out of the 50s. He wrote that. Yeah. He wrote it.
Yeah.
He's a crooner right down to his soul. That he wrote something that had that feel to it. And I really, until I found that out, I thought it was some, just overlooked song that he found, but nope, he wrote it.
No, that's where he lives musically.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's so funny. I've been to, I want to say 3 or 4 of his Christmas parties, which are epic. And you know, like and like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, people were still there, and like his jam is turning on like, you know, Sinatra hits. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
And
God.
that's how like you weed the, you know,
Yeah.
because people are like they want to hear the club music, and like he'll literally just jump on the turntables um and like start putting on crooner music, and then like people were just singing, and it's a
I
good time, but you know.
Yeah, no, I owe a lot to my grandparents for giving me an appreciation to that kind of music.
Same.
And I've said this before too. I think I might have said this too. I'm not big on remakes. Never been big on remakes. 99% of the time, it's the original or nothing.
Yeah.
Seth does justice to Baby It's Cold Outside.
Yeah.
He
Well, you
really
know,
does.
I had the time of my life dancing with my wife with Luck Be a Lady. And we just whipped it up, you know, like, like this dancing to a live big band performance of Luck Be a Lady. And we had a great time. I felt like I was one of the Peanuts in Charlie Brown. Like it
Aw.
was really like a good
So
time.
let's see. So let me ask you, because you know, when you auditioned for Bortus,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, when Seth has a point to make, he writes it so well. Did you know what the Mocklin race was going to be? Did you have any sort of idea about what his focus was going to be for Mocklin's, or did you just go in and say, "Oh, this looks interesting"?
No, he gave just enough information for, you know, my imagination to sort of run wild with it. He like the description, if I am paraphrasing, but he's like was like uh well, in my mind it translated to like Dwayne Johnson and the Thing from Fantastic Four had a love child, and you know, like super very and so I noticed with the writing, and again the writing for the Orville is amazing.
Mm.
um and you know, none of it's ad-libbed. It's scripted within an inch of its life. And Seth is a wordsmith, you know. I mean, I think he writes like he composes music. And so, you know, oftentimes I think that you know, I think of like the crew of the Orville as like a jazz ensemble. And you know, you have like the piccolo, which would be like Scott Grimes, and you have like the, you know, the clarinet, which would be like, you know, like Penny Johnson Gerald, and like would be like, you know, you have like the alto sax would be like, you know, John Lamar, and like um I think, you know, like the tuba or like the baritone, you know, something would be Bortis, or like the timpani, you know, like I mean, I was in concert band in high school, and like I'd have to sit and count like 48 measures
Mhm.
before I'm like boom, 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 and that's it. That's all I get to play. Like, you know, so, but yeah, so he, what was the question? Like, oh, like,
How
yeah,
much did you know when you auditioned?
so yeah, so he gave, like I said, just enough information. So, you know, I kind of just sat and, you know, did a lot of imagination work and thought about it a lot. And you know, looked at the punctuation and looked at how formally it was written. I'm like, oh, this obviously is not, English is not this guy's first language. You know, what do Mocklins, you know, sound like? What do they, what, you know, I mean, so
Mhm.
and then I was like, well, if Eeyore and Sam the Eagle had a love child, it would be Bortus. Like I think that like that's, you know, because people were like, oh, did you you know, study like Michael Dorn's Worf? Did you study the Klingon? And I was like, no, I didn't do any of that shit. Like, I mean, because that's useless to me. And
Yeah.
if you're going to create a new character, although I did get to hang out with Michael Dorn a few years back in Dublin, and you know, I was like, man, thank you. I stand on your shoulders. It was just so great to
Yeah.
give him his propers. You know, because without, you know, Worf, there'd be no Bortus, and you know, and just it was just really great to just give him, you know, praise and say thank you for his work, because you know I'm able to do my work because of,
Right.
I'm just checking for children. Um,
um
no, but so yeah, so when I auditioned, um, you know, I had the scene where it's the very first interaction that Bortus and Mercer have, um, and he's telling, he's like, "You're from a single, you know, an all male species, as far as we knew then." And I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "And you only pee once a year." And I'm like, yeah. And you lay eggs. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are they large eggs? And I'm like, they are quite large. And like when I went for the callback, I did the audition and it was cool. I got in the room with him and the other producers, and I had it in my mind that I wanted to like make a funny with the size of the egg, because people were like, well, where does the egg come from? That's something
Sure, yeah.
that's for another conversation. But and so I put a little bit of a spin on. I commented on the size of the egg and thinking that would make the bit funny, and he gave me an adjustment. Thank goodness, that it's funnier if he doesn't, because that was Peter commenting on the material. Bortis doesn't comment on the material. Bortis
Right.
says
This is Bortis's life.
this is what he just says it as it is, and that's what makes it funny. And so he's really, really smart, and he's really, really smart about the comedy and like how to articulate the comedy and how to quote unquote not put a hat on a hat. You know what I mean? So, and that's how that's how it worked for the whole time that we were shooting. Like he's very aware, and I became aware of like when it was of how to get out of the way of the funny, and like the funny lives in Bortis not commenting on,
Right.
and it's not to say that he's oblivious. It's just that that's just not where, he's not self-conscious at all. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
and that's what makes it funny. So yeah, that's how that went down.
Well, Robert has a question. He says he's really enjoyed all the episodes that centered on Bortis. What was it like to be in a full body prosthetic for the episode where you had to chase Clyden around on that planet?
That was sheer, pure, unadulterated hell. Because that was my last day of shooting, funny enough. And we shot that sequence on Mammoth Mountain, which is like, Mammoth, I think it's in California. I think it's 9,000 feet above sea level. 9,000 feet above sea level, which means that the air is like, I don't know if you've ever been to Colorado, it's like 3 times as bad as that. And so, and of course, we didn't really get we didn't get a rap party per se. So when we flew there, it was just Chad and I and our 2 stunt doubles, and then all crew. So we had like 2 planes, up there, and then the crew, of course. It was at this lodge. It was epic, but like we wound up creating our own rap party, which meant like shots and lots of shots the night before, and then I had a 5 a.m. call to get into full body makeup, which took 4 hours. And then we just ran and sprinted all day. And I don't know if you've ever had a hangover, but having a hangover and in a rubber suit at 9,000 feet above sea level, and you're running all day, that sounds like community service. I mean, it sounds like a light prison sentence. I mean, and it was, and the only choice I had was but to just run. I mean, I threw up a bunch, and I think I wrecked my knee, but like, because it was just full on. I was like, I'm gonna do this full on. So I was full on sprinting for hours. And it was great because like after 2 hours, I had no hangover. I was just like, okay. And like the crew, they were like, Howard Berger and the makeup team, they kept us, we wore like these cooling vests that like NASCAR guys wear, where they like it pumps, like there's like this vest that you put on and it has like all these tubes around it, and it pumps like ice water like through the tube, so you instantly cool off. So, and we were shooting early enough because it was in July we were shooting this. And so we took a break like when at the hottest point of the day, but like most of the time it was like, just sprint, cool off, sprint, cool off. So yeah, it sucked, but it was a lot of fun, I will say that. Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing like that. I mean, like what a way to end, the season.
Let's yeah, because I know
running around naked, in a little thong that I'm like, okay, you got me. I mean, Elvis, okay, okay, fine. This takes the cake. But again, 9,000 feet above sea level, so we had like oxygen, like we were huffing.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was full on, but I mean, it was a lot of fun.
War Dog said you would definitely need a Dr. Pepper or two to get you rolling with that hangover and altitude.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper my ass. That was the first upchuck. I was like, let me have some ginger ale. You know, like,
No. Yeah.
yeah.
JR says, I thought the Mocklins were Klingon-ish, but Peter's performance really made them different and interesting, plus the writing. In 3 seasons, Mocklins and Bortus were very rich.
Ah, well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
No, that
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's sort of there's I want to say there are icons, like you have like even like you have it's a love letter to Star Trek, obviously, and you have like
obviously.
you have like oh shit, okay, no, the computer just turned off, not my phone. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because what else are you going to compare them to? Like, I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, in the scope of a crew on a ship, yeah, you have, yeah, they're very Klingon-ish, like board and the Mocklins and the Klingons. But I feel like what I was trying to communicate to Michael Dorn was that, like, where that character development sort of ended, I was able to pick that up and not have to do all the same all this. It's already established that, like, this is like, it would be so funny if the Mocklins talked like this and they were like, like, it would just be really weird and people would have a hard time with that. So I think that we went with like the sort of like the type, the archetypes, and but peppering in like a myriad of emotional qualities and like the dramatic landscape that we had to negotiate. Took, I feel like, what was established with sort of the way that people view Klingons, and like the big voice, the big shoulders, and the big neck, and then take it, move the football down the field
Right.
a bit further. So yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the hardest things that we faced with this show, was like, like people not being able to take it out of the frame of Star Trek, like, and letting it to be its own thing, which I completely get, because it's totally the same sort of concept.
Right.
But and people were like, "Oh, I thought this was going to be like a spoof of, like a yuck fest of, with Seth MacFarlane, and just like a satirical version of Star Trek." But actually, I think, if anything, like, it pays more homage to the original 3 seasons, where like, it was sort of a simpler design, and it was focused more on, like, character interaction, than in politics, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when you started, you had no idea that Seth was going to take the Mocklins in such an amazing journey, and the story arc with your child is just,
Yeah.
I mean, all the feels.
Yeah, all the feels, all that part.
All the feels, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. I purposely, I read ahead as little as possible, just so it would be fresh, and I would, like, have to figure it out, sort of on the day, or like in the time, and so I wouldn't develop too many, trying to think about it too much. So, like, think about more of it internally, and like, when we started, I think our first son was, I think he was, let's see, we started shooting in January. We shot the pilot in January of 2017, and our first son was born in March of 2016. So I was a new father. So that was a whole nother uh, trip to do that. And then, like, by the time we got to season 3, like, it was really, really influential, like, being a dad. So all, I mean, it's just like art imitates life kind of thing. But yeah, no, it was, it was.
Yeah, I think between you and Clyden, and then Isaac's role in that whole thing at the end, where he offered to do the surgery,
Yeah.
I mean that, and I told Mark, right? That's the actor's name. I'm so
Yeah,
bad.
Mark Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. I told Mark when I met him in Vegas, just that part of it too brought me to tears when Isaac's like,
Yeah,
I'm going to
no.
do this. And it was a
Yeah.
robot. I mean, he's not even, he's a sentient
Yeah.
robot.
I mean, he gave you caught some feels from like a AI. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like the enemy.
Yeah, and that just, I mean, that goes to, I mean, that is hand in hand with Mark's fantastic performance, as well as, again, Seth's writing and how he can do that. But yeah, I mean, that was probably just, and you're right, it's a love letter to Star Trek. It's tackling issues of the day in such a perfectly crafted story.
Yeah.
Because I've said this before, I mean, a lot of shows, they want to do that. Oh, we've got something to say. There's so many societal ills, and we've got to say this, and we've got to make a stand. I always point to Supergirl as like the worst example of how to want to say something and do it so poorly that you're turning me off. They didn't have the writing. They had things they wanted to say, but it felt like they were beating you over the head with a sledgehammer.
I never saw it. So
yeah, they want to address issues. They wanted to address LGBTQ issues and issues, and that's wonderful. But you have to have a finesse that not everybody has.
Yeah.
Seth obviously has that finesse to almost make you not even realize he's trying to tell you something, because you get so enwrapped in the story.
Yeah. And I think that his gift of writing this kind of stuff is that you're writing, like my clown professor when I was in grad school said, without the possibility of tragedy, comedy can't exist, right? And so Seth has the gift of blending the the comedic and the dramatic together.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you like, a lot of science fiction is not funny, or if it is, it's spoofy. You know what I mean? It's like Galaxy Quest, or like, not that I have anything against that, like, but it's like, or Spaceballs or whatever. It's just goofy.
Right. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
it's parody. It's more parody than
Yeah, and so it's not plausible. They don't really believe it. Like, Seth really cares about the science, which is a character, I think, in and of itself. Like, and then like the normalcy, like making something as far fetched as life on a spaceship normal. You know what I mean? It's a lot like The Office, like, because he's like, yeah, it's just people around the water cooler. They happen to just work in space 500 years from now.
Yeah, they're just coworkers. Sometimes they love each other. Sometimes they hate each other.
Yeah, like, and sometimes like culturally they don't want to wear pants, and like you're like, you need to wear pants.
Or sometimes they're just a big green blob that you have to deal with because he's slithering around.
Yeah, and he's super, like, rest in peace, Norm Macdonald, but he's like super kind of skeevy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Super, like, that's funny to have like this green blob that has like the libido of like a 13-year-old, and it's like, what I mean? And then oh god, I mean, and then it's just gross. I mean, it's like it gets inside you, which is like,
but yeah, I mean, Star Trek had its moments. I mean, Star Trek, the original series, it had trouble with tribbles. It could do comedy, but it never blended comedy the way Seth blends it. And I think the first season definitely leaned, it kind of morphed into more of a dramedy. Like, I think the first season had more of a comedic bent to it, and then for whatever reason, and I think, again, I just, Seth, if you ever watch this, I just think he's Nana Visitor once called him, when I asked her about him, called him a mad genius.
He's a genius. He's not. I don't think. The thing about Seth, he is a genius, but he's also really well read. He reads a lot of books. You know what I mean? He recommends a lot of books, and I was able to recommend him give him some books, and he we shared book titles, and it was really well read, and he's really on the right side of like science and history and stuff like that. And but the genius is blending all that shit together. I mean, it's like how do you he has like 20 assistants and all that stuff, but like he still has to get up every day and be creative on so many fronts, and like that's not an easy that's not even easy. Is not even in the vocabulary. I mean, it's like he's very like organized.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and he's very disciplined. Like, I mean, so like, I mean, and that's kind of what it takes. I mean, the mad genius. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's mad at all. I mean, he's like probably the most sane,
Wow.
genius
Yeah.
person that I
Well, she
know.
worked with him on Family Guy, so
Yeah, well, that might have been different, like, because that's like,
that's like a different level of which also has things to say, but in a totally like
yeah.
But it's funny. I enjoy Family Guy, but listen, Seth, not to put Seth aside, Seth is a genius, but it takes two. It's definitely two major components. It's his fabulous writing, but the cast that he assembled.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, all of you are just to bring his words to life.
Well, I mean, we genuinely got along, and we genuinely like there's certain people that genuinely pissed me off, and I still love them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like it was very much a family. Like, but we go out to dinner, like we see each other at conventions. You saw, like, it's like it's like getting the
Oh my
band back
God!
together.
Did I see? You mean when we all went to that steakhouse? Yeah, I saw that. I still can't believe you invited me to that. I was so humbled that you invited me.
Oh, whatever, man! It's like a party. We're having a good time.
It was, and everybody was so Jay Lee and Mark and Annie.
Yeah.
And Jay Lee, oh my God, the whole piano thing. Like, that's what I love about you guys are also multi-talented as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Scott is an amazing musician. Like,
stood us up because of the gala. Because he
I don't know what the deal is, but like, yeah, he flakes a lot, but he's got a lot of shit going on. So I mean, I don't ever
he was actually playing the gala. That's what he said. That's why he didn't come out. Because he was playing.
Yeah. Well, like
we tried. Well, Annie tried. That was a fun part of the evening. Was trying to get Scott to. I would have loved to have met him. I know him from back when he was doing ER, so I would have loved to have
he's
said
been
hi.
around for a long time, and he's like insanely talented, and just like really quick-witted. But yeah, like people are like, it was a good group of people. You know what I mean? Like a really good group of people, and that made it easy. To because a lot of the time on the bridge, like that's while we're shooting, it's rare that we're all on set together, like, except for we're on the bridge. And we're on the bridge, they're like, people, come on, can we shoot, please? And then like, we're just like jokes after jokes after jokes,
Okay, so Dave Gregory says we appreciate the humor more when we see where it comes from, like pain or trauma. There's more nuance with smart writing that blends humor with character growth, and in sci-fi and winter.
So. I mean, case in point, like one of the key sort of entry points into my building of Bortus was the whole Gelogia business. Like, I mean, it's like, what does that mean that you only pee once a year? Okay, that's funny, but what happens if I don't? And like me, I had to be like, well, it has to be life or death. You know what I mean? And ironically enough, that makes it more funny. And I'm like, well, if he doesn't pee, he dies. You know what I mean? Like, I said, well, what is that process? Like, well, like, I mean, does he drag a giant colostomy bag around, or like, what's happening? And I said, I fixed it in my mind that like his body, his body, inside of his body, like it toxifies. And so like, if he doesn't emit like all these toxins out of his body once a year, because they can pretty much eat or drink anything, you know what I mean? Like, that he will, like, he'll poison, his body will turn against him and he'll die. And once I figured that out, that and like the level of seriousness as I was about, like, we got to pull the ship over, I got to go. It's like that made it that much more real, the stakes, right? So like, if the stakes are that high, comedy and tragedy existing together, then it's funny.
Right. And the fact that it turned into a big ceremony, and you're like, I would be honored if you would all come and watch me pee.
Yeah, because like, otherwise I die. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what you got to do.
I mean, in a way, that's kind of like your version of a muck time, with the whole Vulcans have to mate or they die. Mocklins have to pee or they die. Yeah. From Star Trek, the original series. I mean, things have changed about it, but yeah, in the original series, if Spock didn't get back to Vulcan to mate, he was going to die for the same reason.
Wow.
because everything in his body was completely out of whack.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Because once
Yeah.
every 7 years, Vulcans go through this thing called Pungfar,
Okay.
and it harkens back to the days when they were savages, and so it's mate or die. So it's along those lines, and I think it definitely makes it more interesting because that it shows a vulnerability too. You know, like Mocklins are so, you know, stoic and strong, but hey, they've got this vulnerability to them too.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. I'm glad I didn't know that. Because, you know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, like the great idea is like you find your way back to, you know, something like that, you know, centers, that gives it gravity. You know what I mean? Like that gives it, like when it's life or death. Like, I mean, that whole episode where Bortus gets addicted to porn. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, if we had like the technology that they have in that show, it would be pretty hard not to be addicted to porn. But like, but the fact that he almost blows the ship up, that it almost gets sucked into a star. I watched that episode with my mom, by the way, and I've never felt more 13 since I was 13. I sat on the floor. She sat behind me in a chair, and she didn't say a word. But that's neither here nor there. But the whole time I'm thinking, or Bortus is thinking, you know, because of my distance or my problems in my marriage or my relationship, my partnership, and it's brought me to this isolated, you know, selfish kind of place. I could be responsible for not only the lives of all of the people on the ship, but my own mate and my own child. Do you know what I mean? Again, like the stakes go through the roof, you know, so it's like, yeah, it's funny. I got addicted to porn and he gave the ship a virus, but if it goes, you know, south, everybody dies, including his mate and his child, right? And so in my mind, while we're doing the scenes and like, you know, the ship is getting sucked into the star, that's what's going on inside of Bortus, right? So, you know, so yeah, it's a point of departure from the comedy because it's funny at first, and then it's not, because it's like, oh, this is going to cost. This could potentially cost, and you know, we couldn't save everybody on that, like that moon, or I think it was a moon that those people were living underground. We only saved like, you know, half of them or something like that. And so yeah, like the all because of the virus.
Virus. All because you know,
I mean, yeah, it's funny. Like, there's this funny story. Like my ex, this friend of mine would send me this ridiculous like stuff, like porn and stuff like that, and I went to open it, and my ex mother-in-law's home computer was connected to her work computer, and I opened it, and it fucked up her home computer, and then it like fucked up her work computer, and I was like, oh man, trying to explain that away, you know, like that. I was like, no, I wasn't jerking off in your office. I opened up some file that my friend sent me that like was corrupt, and anyway, so I just, relatable story, haha, moving on.
Robert would like to know what projects you're working on now.
Well, in like 10 days or so, I'm going to New Zealand to do some reshoots for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that's coming up. It's gonna be you know, that was, so like that's, you know, that's what's going on. I mean, I saw the trailer a couple weeks ago, and I'm still can't believe it. I mean, it's so hard to, because we shot that film over the course of like 6 months in Australia, and it was motion capture, so no idea of what, like, you watch playback. I'm like, wow, okay, I'm watching playback for technical things. I mean, not for performance, because it's like I have no idea what a talking orangutan looks like. And so I know I saw it. I'm like, I still can't believe that that's me. So, you know, but yeah, that's kind of what's in the hopper right now. You know, so, you know, I've been you know, like painting a lot, but mostly just kind of running daddy daycare with my crazy son. You know, and my wife has been working her ass off to try to make ends meet while, you know, my unemployed ass. So a lot of housework, a lot of yard work, we live around a lot of trees, And this time of year, the tree, it's just raining leaves like every day,
Yep.
like cars are covered. So I go out there with my my leaf blower and I'm out there, like I fixed the fountain so the goldfish wouldn't die. We have a bunch of koi fish and shit like that. Like, fixing stuff around the house, like I've been cooking a lot, which is amazing. But yeah, like but I do have like a project that's in its infancy. I've done a lot of Shakespeare, and one of the roles that I've done like a bunch, like 4 times too many, is Othello. And I have this project that I've been nursing, trying to suss out where there's no, it's not Greek. There's an amphitheater that's in Cyprus. It's like I think 2,000 seat amphitheater, ancient amphitheater in Cyprus where the majority of Othello takes place. And I've been talking with a friend of mine to help me produce like a production of Othello there. But before we do that, we want to build like a 4, 5 maybe person chamber size production of Othello, because I love and hate that play. and um and there's a lot to mine out of it, and so I want to do a stripped down avant-garde sort of assessment like of like the interior sort of world of the play, and then like maybe in a couple of years do a full-blown operatic scale size production at the amphitheater in Cyprus. So I think I'm supposed to be going to Cyprus. Now that I'm going to New Zealand, I know these are such champagne problems, but like I've been wearing sweatpants for 6 months, and like it feels good. But at some point I got to get over there to start doing some groundwork, and like working with dance companies and some theater companies there to get this thing produced. So hopefully next year there'll be something, and then I want to try to tour it, to like bring it to New York and bring it to like Minneapolis and bring it to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. So yeah, I mean, so I'm doing that. I mean, yeah, my dance card is pretty full, but yeah, that's what's happening. So I was like, oh, okay, there's a 14-hour flight to New Zealand. I can get a lot of writing done because I don't sleep on planes.
Oh, there you go. Speaking of New Zealand, Tiffany would like to know whereabouts.
I have no idea. Wherever like the Weta Effects studio is, where they're like I guess we have to share space with the new Avatar movie that they're working on over there. So wherever
there's another Avatar movie.
Oh God, yeah. Didn't you know that? Like
I didn't see the second one, so
yeah. Well, the second one was whatever, but the third one looks like it's gonna go like it's not as blue. So, but yeah, like wherever, like it's Weta WETA /FX is where like where Lord of the Rings, King Kong, Avatar, like where they like do all the post stuff, because it's all like mocap these days. But yeah, I've never been to New Zealand, and I'm looking.
Oh well, Tiffany would like you to know that you're going to be in Wellington, and it's a lovely little city.
Fantastic, because I do have to take another plane once I land in. Anyway, yeah, fantastic. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Tiffany, for the intel. Anything I should know?
And yeah, if you've got any suggestions about restaurants or whatever, how long do you think you're going to be down there until they're done?
Like 2 weeks, so they say, but they lie all the time. But that's what I told my wife, and that's what it better be. So like 2 weeks, 10 like 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. And then it'll be her turn to travel when you get home, right? She'll find some place to go.
Oh, that's already in motion. Like she's already like I got back from Australia a couple months later. She's like, well, she told me before I got back, she's like, I'm going to Greece with my girlfriend, and I'm going for 10 days, and that's what's happening. I'm like, yes, it is. That's what's happening. Daddy daycare in effect, and the boys will be out of school. So yeah, full time, breaking up fist fights, and finding poop in places that I didn't, how it goes. You know what I mean?
Tiffany says it tends to be. Oh, I'm sorry, I got the cat running around.
That doesn't
Tiffany,
look like a cat goes like belongs in that studio space.
I know. Honestly, it's Enterprise. There should be a dog, but Tiffany says it tends to be pretty windy down there.
Oh yeah.
And JR would like to know, what is your process to get into character?
What is my process to get into character? Oh man, I don't. Well, I mean, a lot of the work is done before I even get to the set. You know, obviously knowing what my lines are. But also like I'm a huge fan of doing imagination work and backstory, like working on like physicality, like I always have a secret, you know what I mean? Like uh like I learn what other people are dealing with, what my scene partners, what their lines are about and why they're thinking them. So I just put myself there so I can forget what, so I don't have to think. um and then I also, like, it depends on what's going on. Like if it's heavy stuff, I tend to isolate myself. I don't like socialize that much. If I have to like sort of stay in a zone, stay in a particular lane. But most of it, like in the beauty of being able to live with a character for 4 or 5 years is that, like, I know a lot about this person, like this character, and I don't have to think about it as much. And so I can really just lose myself in who they are and who I'm not. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't have like a formula per se, but it's all of that stuff, just being, and listening, and listen, and also especially with TV, you know what I mean? Like this, which is different than film and obviously different than the stage, but like really understanding what the cameras are doing. And, a lot of times we're shooting with like 3 different cameras, and, giving the editor, like Tom Constantino's a friend of mine now, um, a lot to work with. You know what I mean? Making different choices all the time, but in the same realm. You know what I mean? Not just doing the same performance over and over again, because that's not real. That doesn't feel like I'm experiencing it for the first time. Even though, we can do like 17 takes, and you gotta keep it fresh. So that's how you do it. Is like really coming in prepared and ready to play. Like someone told me that, a professional will rehearse something over and over and over and over and over again until it can't go wrong, and an artist will rehearse and think about and do stuff and like rehearse over and over and over and over until it can only go right. Right. So like, like no matter what happens, and I think that's like a bit of my theater training too, is like, like a cell phone goes off in an audience, you got to be able to deal with that. Someone, charges the stage, or something goes, whatever, like a light falls. Like these are all extreme examples, obviously, but like you got to be able to be, and it's a bit of Jeet Kune Do too. Like it's like you got to be able to like be flexible and fluid with, whatever's coming at you, and stay, in character. And like I'm not a method actor either. Like I mean, I don't take it home with me to the extent that like I gotta stay in Bordis land, because that'll drive me and my family crazy. um but there is there is like a space in my mind that I just leave in reserve for whatever character that I'm taking on. And so no matter if I'm washing the dishes or if I'm like changing a diaper or whatever, like it's just that I'm aware of that person living inside of me until they're not.
Well, I've heard it said, some people like they don't feel like they're like, do you like when you were in the makeup chair and you were getting, and you're becoming Bordis, is there that moment where you're like thinking about everything, but then you open your eyes and you're in, and they're like, there he is?
Hell no. Like I would get to listen. I had to get to, again, we had at the time 2 very small children, and sleep was, I couldn't spell the word. And so oftentimes I would get to set or get to my trailer at like 5:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, having not really slept the night before, because you're up for whatever myriad of reasons comes with small children. And I'd get in that chair, and it started off being like I think that started off being 4 hours just to do the head. and but then they got the makeup. It's like making a sculpture, the same sculpture every day.
Right.
So we got down to 90 minutes, and they would put the prosthetics on, glue them on, and then they'd say, lay back and close your eyes because we have to paint it. And I'm like, no problem. I'm out skis. And like, I wake up and I go to sleep looking, I wake and go like that. I fall asleep looking like this, and I wake up looking like Bortus. And that's kind of what happens if you fall asleep in a makeup chair. But yeah, no, it was super therapeutic because it was the same. It was very zen. And then and in that time, like I'm not full. Well, sometimes I'm outright snoring, but like most of the time, half the time, I'm not fully asleep. So I'm like sort of thinking about what I have to do that day and the circumstances. So I get to spend some time just like sort of meditating. And then you wake up, and the makeup does so much for it. Like there are parameters that I have to work within the makeup. Like I can't really turn my head like this, like Bortus
Right.
turn this. He has to do the no neck turn, which is funny. Like you remember like those old sitcoms where like I'm gonna sue you, and like the next day they show up with a donut like that.
Yep.
Like
The collar. Yeah.
exactly. And like or the dog collar. Like that's kind of like the cone of shame. Like those are the sort of the parameters. Like you put that on instantly, it's funny because it's like the way that you have to turn your
Right.
head to communicate, and just being aware of that was super helpful. It was super helpful for character development to be inside like this mound of prosthetic makeup. So that helped a lot. Like so I think there was what was that movie with Willem Dafoe? It was a David Lynch movie where he had these crazy teeth, and he's like, "Oh, and once I got
Wild at Heart.
Wild at Heart. Once I got the teeth in, like he's like the character just boop popped out. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, you're lucky to get, this amazing get up that you get to be. And so and I
Right.
look at myself in the mirror, and I don't see Peter at all. So, and that's why I can actually watch the Orville, because I really don't like watching my performances. I'm just way too in my head, and I just don't enjoy it. So I just let other people watch it.
JR said Method Mocklin when you were talking about getting into character.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said, you had mentioned earlier about Scott has been around for a while, but you're no stranger. I did peek at your IMDb page because I usually like to do a little bit of research. So was 94 The World and Time Enough? Was that like your first big?
I think that was like the first movie. No, that wasn't the first movie. I mean,
that was just the first IMDb listing.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun because I got to ride motorcycles for 2 months, and I think it was 2 months. No, it was like a anyway. But yeah, like the one of the guys who was I guess the lead in that film. He's doing like a Christmas movie now with Ludacris. I'm just like, well, he's like had an amazing career. I mean, he's done spy movies with Tom Cruise and. But yeah, like that movie, we shot that in Albuquerque, and that was not 90. Oh, wait a minute, I am tripping. That was like Friendship. Never mind. Scratch everything I just said. World and Time Enough. God, what was that? What was that movie? I don't even remember what that movie was like. Is that 94?
That's what, yeah, you played somebody named Mike. It's listed on IMDb as 94. I know IMDb is an HIV positive artist, Mark, and his lover, Joey.
Oh, yeah. Yo, that movie, I had to do my first love scene with the dude. And I mean, talk about let's go. But yeah, I was living in I was living in Minneapolis when that film. I was still going to art school in Minneapolis. Like, well, I didn't finish in Minneapolis. I finished in San Francisco. But yeah, we shot that movie. That was like the first movie that I ever did. And then it wound up being like a hit at the San Francisco Film Festival. And yeah, that was painful to watch because I don't like, again, like watching myself, but it was painful like to watch myself in a love scene. Like I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like this is really, really like a special kind of torture for me. And it was just so super awkward because the guy, I don't want to throw him under the bus, so I'm probably not gonna say anything more than he was mad uncomfortable, and like that just made it really, really, really super, super awkward. Because I've done, like share of love scenes with men and women, blah blah blah, whatever. But like it sucked because he was I am throwing him under the bus. I didn't mean to, like, so I'll leave it alone. But yeah, that was the first movie that I ever did, because I think, because most of my career has been theater. And yeah, I was like, I wanted to, at the time, I remember I wanted to go to New York and do indie movies. That's what I wanted to do. And so I was like, yeah, well, I was all over that, but I wound up going to San Francisco instead first before I moved to New York. But yeah, wow, I don't look at my IMDb page at all. So like, I don't look, I don't,
You don't
yeah.
look back.
Well, no, I don't look back. Well, it's not that I don't look back. It's just like I'm not interested in communicating that way. Like
Okay.
I don't need to, like, like I don't have I have a Facebook account that I don't even know how to access because I don't remember the password. But I use Instagram for funny, creative things.
Yeah.
But like I don't read reviews. I don't because I'm and it's not like I used to. And then like that, it hurts my feelings. You know what I mean? Like that shit's personal to me.
Well,
So,
yeah, it's hard not to take that personally. I mean, because
yeah,
yeah.
like I started reading like comments about like people, like when the trailer for Apes dropped, and I started reading comments, and like some of them were like just mean. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not reading this. I'm not. It's none of my business what people think.
Right.
Like that one, you know what I mean? Like I don't need any of that in my life. And I think that social media is like a platform that is not checked, like in a way that like people can say whatever they want and sort of with impunity. And I just don't,
Yeah.
I'm not down with that. So, but yeah, wow, you brought that up. Well, I'm enough. What's next? Like, I might have to go get my charger because my phone battery is. There might be one in the next room, so I'll just take you with me.
Oh, okay, great. We get a tour.
I don't want to just leave you to vamp.
I appreciate that.
But like, I live in a house where chargers like just disappear all the time, and so nope, not there. Well, you're still with me though. So.
I am. JR said Will Smith mentioned he struggled to do a single kiss in 6 Degrees. He later said he should have just did it.
Yeah, he should have did it. From what I understand, that story, from that story is that, sorry for the screen, but
no worries.
From what I understand is like he had a consultation with Denzel, and Denzel told him not to do it, and I guess he decided not to do it. But but then that's what's so crazy. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to go down this gossip trail, but like all this, I was, again, it's fucking internet, reading something about like somebody was having some interview about Will Smith doing, forget it, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Anyway, yeah.
Can we talk about Dexter?
Oh yeah.
Dexter is one of my favorite shows. I just thought it was so clever. Because what other show is going to have you rooting for a serial killer?
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's really good writing, but that's from the novels,
right?
But yeah, no, Dexter was fun. That was, again, like I think that was like one of my first, because I did some TV in San Francisco, and I think I can just plug this right in here. Such a nerd. Nope, that's the wrong cord. But yeah, I did some stuff in San Francisco, some TV with Don Johnson from.
Oh, we all know that name.
Yeah, with a show called what was that show called?
Miami Vice.
No, like no, darling.
Oh, Nash Bridges.
Nash Bridges, yeah, yeah. That was with Cheech Marin and Cheech Marin, and Don Johnson. So yeah, that was like a kind of a a little trip into TV, and I actually shot 2 different episodes, and playing 2 different criminals. And I'm like, aren't they gonna remember me from like before when I was a criminal on the show before? They're like, no, they won't. But Dexter, oh, I gotta see, am I underneath? Yes. Sorry, this
That's
is so
okay.
going on. Just trying to find a quiet place to talk. Oh, look, there's an extension cord. Let me use this. Just forget me. But it'll be worth it because then I can talk longer. Otherwise, I don't, it'll die, and then that'll be that. You still there?
I am.
Okay, good.
Your house has great Wi-Fi.
Well, I'm down here by the router, so that
Oh, perfect.
that helps. It makes all the difference. But yeah, it does because we have to share. But Dexter was a lot of fun because the writing was really fun.
And Michael C. Hall. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any scenes with him, but like, him leading the show.
Yeah.
And then I got to be like, I was playing this character, I think Leones is his name was, and he was like a Haitian guy. So
you need to fit your off camera though as soon as you.
I know.
Okay.
I'm coming back. I'm just getting my camera,
You're fine.
my technicals together.
It's all about your voice anyway, so.
And just this is what. Now I got to sit on the fucking floor because. Oh, anything for you, Stephanie.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, I got to like play this, like Haitian guy, and this was before I went to grad school, but like I really, we studied a lot of dialects in school, but like, so I had to like, I got with this guy Alex, in LA, who's Haitian, and he kind of coached me with the dialect, and then I got to scar myself up. You know what I mean? It was a lot of fun, a lot of character stuff like that. And then the guy who was one of the series regulars, Dokes, he got killed, and I'm like, well, there goes my storyline.
Yeah, he got
exactly what happened.
Blown up in a spoilers, but
up.
he got blown up in a cabin. That was like the end of the first season, I think.
Yeah, well,
first or second season.
Because I came back in the third. I came into the third season, I think, or maybe it was the second season. I can't.
2000 and it was 2007. It was 2 episodes. Yep, season 2, late season 2, 9 and 11.
Yeah. So like, when he died, I'm like, because I had high hopes, obviously, of being recurring, but and that was not the case. But that's TV. It's like short lived, and I think that's what's so special about being a series regular on a show, especially like a show that a series regular from jump. You know what I mean? Like not a character that we have to grow to love, or not love or whatever. It's like like that was a dream come true to build a character, a series regular character from the ground up, from the pilot.
Yep.
Because that's super rare.
I've talked to you about this, and a ton of people have talked to you about this. Might have whispered about it with Annie in the back of the Uber on the way to dinner, but what can you tell us about the possibility of a renewal? Is there anything more that you can talk about that you haven't already answered at a
All
convention?
I know is that before the strike, they did have like a tentative, deal in place. And then, that was like a lifetime ago, because I don't, what the strike is, post-strike looks like. We still don't really know. But yeah, like they don't tell me shit, man. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh no, they never tell the actors anything until
they don't.
But
because they know we will blab.
Yes, you guys cannot be trusted. But
no, that's bullshit. Like I don't know what I mean. I don't think that anybody knows except for Seth MacFarlane.
Was it Tom? I think it was Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
They never told him anything because he couldn't keep his mouth shut. Somebody, I think it was him.
Yeah, like the Avengers,
anything that was going on with Spidey, he just couldn't.
He and also oh my god, I love him who plays Hulk.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo is a big blabbermouth too, apparently. But like, I think it's funny. You know what I mean? Like, I totally respect Mark Ruffalo's body of work, and
Yes, I enjoy it. Yeah, I think he's great.
but yeah, I mean, I don't. It's just like this wall of silence that comes along with, like I mean, like case in point, like when they were trying to, when they were before they announced the season 3, like before they like published or put out, for public consumption, like the poster for season 3, of the Orville. They sent us a bunch of ideas, and I didn't, put two in. Like, I was like, "Oh, this is great," and like I posted like this picture, and I thought it was amazing, but of course it was so totally Bortus. It was just a big picture of Bortus. And I don't know. I put that on my Instagram, and like my Instagram feeds directly into this Facebook page. I think I have like 3 Facebook pages that like my nephew manages one. I stay out of it, but and like the people from Hulu, I don't know how obviously they got my.
monitor everything. Yeah.
They called me like an hour later. No, my manager called me. She texted me. She's like, "You have to take that down." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "You have to take that post down off of Facebook." I'm like, "I didn't post anything on Facebook. What are you talking about? I put it on Instagram." And like, and you're like, "Your Instagram goes into your Facebook, dummy." And I'm like, "Oh, but then I just like, well, I would take it down, but I don't know how to get into my Facebook account." So like, my wife had to fucking sit there and help me reverse engineer a password or something. I don't know how we did it, but it took us like 45 minutes.
It's like
Yeah.
C3PO. No, shut them all down.
Yeah, totally. So I'm sorry. I wish I did have information to tell you, but I don't.
But the candle is still burning. There's still hope on the new horizon, I
mean, I
guess.
hope so. I mean, what honestly, right now, and like today, what I would love to see happen is like a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that would be pretty dope. Or like an animated series, but like
that would be fun.
but I would love to see a movie. But like, because we did 3 seasons, and like I know that Seth loves the show.
Mhm.
But shit, I haven't talked to Seth, like I haven't talked to him in months. So, I don't know where his head's at. And I know that he's like, Ted is about to come out like on Peacock. And that looks pretty amazing.
A third Ted?
No, it's a series. It's a series. It's like like I think it takes place in the 90s. And Scott Grimes is in it, and I think Scott Grimes plays like the dad, and Seth, is obviously Ted, and they have like, from what I understood, the way that they shot it is they had like, I think, and I might be wrong, but I think Seth was wearing like a giant teddy bear suit. And then they just for reference, and then like they did like an animatronic. I mean, they did something crazy.
Oh my god,
CGI.
This one used to talk. I have a little Ted. He has a voice box, but I think the battery died. He used to talk. He used to say like Thunder Buddies. I love Ted.
Yeah.
I love Ted.
Well, we had like the Ted Bears that like we got them for our kids, and they said all kinds of pornographic things, and my kids didn't understand it at the time, but then we had to get rid of them. But yeah, no, so I don't know. I mean, there's like a comic book series that's still going, that I think that David, what's his last name? Forgot, man. I'm embarrassing myself. I should know this because he got me the job for Shelter in Solitude. God, fuck, my brain is late. This is actually way past my bedtime. No, it's all good. I mean, it's cool.
No, I appreciate it so much.
It'll come back to me in some random, for some random reason. But like, he's been writing comic books, and so I hope that like there's material that like, but I don't know. Like I honestly don't know.
Yeah. I'd be excited to see a Ted series. I thought Ted was fantastic. I think probably my favorite part of Ted was Ted 2. And I've asked Michael Dorn about this, where he had Michael Dorn and see, now I'm forgetting the name. Patrick Warburton.
Warburton, yeah.
Yeah, show up as the Tick and
Yeah. That was
Worf.
funny. Yeah.
That was brilliant. And Dorn said like he thought it was great. He absolutely thought it was hysterical doing that. I asked him if he knew that it was coming, and he said yeah, he knew. And so he had,
Yeah.
I mean, I love actors that can, they don't take themselves or their parts so seriously. And he's like, yeah, I'll put on a cheesy Worf head
Yeah.
and walk around New York Comic Con for you. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that'd be fun to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, if Bortus got to a point where I was able to be spoofed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't spoof Bortus, but you do watercolors of Bortus. I know. I just wanted to throw that out there because you are just as multi-talented as your other castmates.
No, that's cool. People have been collecting them, which is dope. And it's not like like what was it? The last thing we did. I forget. Like I had a convention recently, and I moved. It was Dragon Con.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and like I sold a lot of them. I gave a lot of them away. I gave a lot of them away to kids. But people were like, "Oh man, it's amazing!" So like the idea that I had, because like when you and I first met, was the first time that I was like trying to peddle those.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because we had that discussion about them right before this convention started.
And I didn't know if it was going to be, if it was just my crazy idea, or if it was something that was worthy of, or this collector, like, and people responded.
It worked.
So,
yes.
I'd like to make some more, but I might, I don't know, figure something else out. But I have like about 15 to 20 paintings that I'm trying to finish.
I've seen some. You've been posting a lot of artwork on Instagram. So.
Well, I started a new Instagram page. It's called Peter Macon Art, and it's not just like I haven't posted very much on it, but I'm starting to. But it's like more process oriented. I'm just showing my process of like how I make the paintings and stuff like that. So that's out there, and that's been cool. That's been fun to like, just show little bits of articulation, because I layer my paintings a lot. Like I have paintings that I've been working on for years. Do you know what I mean? Like that I'm still working on. So, and I have paintings that I've been working on for a few months. So all of that. I have a painting that's like 12 by 8 feet that I started working on that painting in like 2003, and I have yet to. I mean, I worked on it for a month or two, and then I sold / traded it to a friend of mine. And she's also like the woman who does like a lot of my photography, like she like my headshots and stuff like that. I've known her since like '96. Her name is Lisa Keating. If anybody needs a headshot and they're in the Bay Area, Lisa Keating is the one you want to go to. But she had it in her studio forever, and then she moved studios and she shipped it back to me. So I've had this painting back for about a year, and I haven't even unrolled it because it's just in this giant tube.
Oh my gosh.
But I plan on unrolling it and working on it some more soon. And I have a sculpture that I did. I don't think that's on the page yet, but I have a sculpture that I made in like 1991, and it's bounced around for because I made it after I got back from Ghana the first time, and it bounced around from home to home to home, and then I finally got that back like 2 years ago, and then I decided to gold leaf it and put it in a show. So, and it's like and I've had that painting, like the sculpture, for I guess 30 something years, and that's bananas to even think about.
Wow.
But then and I was like, well, what am I gonna do with this? And then like out of the strike of lightning, I was like, you know what? Because I have a lot of gold leaf in my paintings. I'm like, what would this look like if I just gold leaf this whole sculpture? And it's dope. And so I put it in some shows here in Atlanta. It's been in 2 shows, and so that, I mean, I kind of live with my work for a long time. I do have like a painting. I don't know if I can tell you this. Well, I can tell you this because it won't matter. But like, so this show called Interview with a Vampire on AMC, they're gonna use one of my paintings.
Oh,
For the
congratulations.
show.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Dave Gregory says your paintings would be something to see, so he needs to follow you on your new Instagram page.
Peter Macon art.
Peter Macon art. Can't get simpler than that to follow. I am the owner of one of your Borders watercolors, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So hopefully some of the next, the next conventions you're going to, you'll have some artwork for people, because it moved. People were really,
Yeah.
they like to have something unique.
Yeah, more than just
just the 8x10.
Yeah.
Robert says that he was at Dragon Con, and he's not sure if you got to see any of the parade or parties, but he was dressed as General Martok. I don't know how familiar you were with Klingons other than Worf.
No, and I watched the parade from like the 25th floor. No, I think I was on the 45th floor.
I got a last minute. Somebody very last minute said that they had a pass for me. And if it wasn't, if New Jersey was closer than Atlanta, I would have done it, but it would have been a flight and crashing in a lobby somewhere for a weekend.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, I just really wanted to come down and see you guys, and I've never been to Dragon Con, so
it's a good time.
It's definitely on my bucket list. I just couldn't pull it off with such short notice, like literally the week of. She's like, I've got to pass. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and I did see the parade, but from like I had it on the TV, and I also like was watching it kind of from up,
bird's eye view.
But no, I didn't see it, but like it's a good time. It's like one of the best conventions I think that happened.
Dave says the fact that they're using your painting is dope.
Dope.
He said it's dope.
I'm not if I should. I guess the cat's out of the bag now. I said it, but like whatever. Like I said, doesn't. I haven't. It's limited information. I didn't say how they're using it, what they're doing, who's using it, what it is. So
you didn't talk about the story, so I think you're good. And JR's like, is that an intended pun? Making art, like making art.
Duh. I mean, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's like. But not really. Like
it just fits. It just happens that it worked out that way.
It just works.
It works.
Yeah.
So do you have any conventions coming up that you are going to?
There's one that I don't know in Germany, like in May. That's all I got.
You need somebody to carry your bags? I would love to go back to Germany.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like I don't know what your relationship with Heroes for Hire is, but talk to those guys.
You know what's really funny? Janet suggested to me to go try this dumpling place that's near my house, and I did. And she said, "Oh, you're gonna have to let me know how it is." And I was like, "All right." And then, but she never gave me her contact information, and she's not on Facebook. Like I found her on Facebook, but not that she's. So I don't know. She's never gonna find out.
Yeah, well, maybe she's watching.
Maybe she's watching. I don't know. No, Janet's great.
Yeah, no,
I do know a couple people. For people that don't know, Heroes for Hire is an amazing booking agency run by the one and only Aaron Gray, and it's a good. From what I understand, it's a really great place to be represented by.
No, they're great. They're great. And the fact that Aaron is running the whole thing is super helpful, and the people that do it. They're out in the field per se. They're up in it, like with you.
Yeah.
Those 3 days, whatever, like sleeves rolled up and just in the muck,
Right. And having an actor running it, I mean, obviously she understands. She has that very unique perspective because she's been on that side of it. So.
Yeah.
I think that really helps.
Yeah, I mean, and if you hear about conventions or whatever, I mean, I hope that I'm gonna start getting busy, but that Dragon Con paid my rent. They paid like my car note. It paid my that shit paid like it helped me support my family And so I don't take those things lightly. And funny, Michael Dorn, when I did that one with him in Dublin years ago, he was like, "Yeah, I only do like he's Michael Dorn, but like
Right.
I only do a few of these a year because it's like it becomes not cost effective, but because of the taxes that I have to pay if I do more than 3. So I'm trying to get to that Michael Dorn level of.
Yeah. I need to pull back. Yeah. Dave wants to know more about Germany because he said it's one of his favorite places, but you just know that it's in Germany in May.
I want to say
Cologne.
Yeah, it's in Cologne. Like
Cologne. You know what? See, and I actually have a friend that lives in Cologne.
Yeah.
I was born in Germany, so I want to get back there. Stuttgart.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Army brat.
I've been to Dusseldorf and Berlin is the shit.
I would love to see Berlin.
I love Berlin.
Yeah, I've seen Stuttgart. We flew into Frankfurt and drove, so I've been on the Autobahn.
Oh yeah, I love the Autobahn. That's one of my.
I want to drive on the Autobahn one of these days.
That's
I didn't get to drive, so I want to get a car and.
I mean, I drove on the Autobahn, but I was in like before you get all I was in a like 8-passenger van. And I was a passenger. I wasn't driving.
I was on the. My parents did. My mom's like, we rented the car, but we're not letting you. I'm like, just from exit to exit. Just nope.
No, you got to know how to but like we were like not in the fast lane ever.
Yeah, no.
The cars whizzing by at like 120K. 130, like 100.
Oh, that's right. You haven't been in a car with me on an expressway. We just rode around the block, but I've got a lead foot. But you know what kind of car I drive, so I do like
I was literally, I have a V8 twin turbo. I'm a gearhead, like I'm a motor. So like I was driving the other day, and I'm like, am I really going 120 miles per hour? I'm going 121 miles per hour. I need to slow down.
You know what's really fun? After I have a Mustang 5-liter, and I had to take it back. I had to take it back to the dealership because they had my plates, and it needed a front plate frame because it was a Pennsylvania car, so it didn't have a front plate frame, and it needed one. So they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll put it on." And the guy's like, "How fast? How fast?" I'm like, "I've gotten it up to 90. I'm not looking to get tickets." And he's looking at me, and I'm like, "You don't buy a 5-liter because it goes fast. You buy a 5-liter because it gets there quickly. I don't buy it because I can get to 90. I buy it for how quickly it'll get me there."
Well, yeah, I mean, when I'm driving, like the reason why I was driving 21 miles per hour is because I don't like pack driving, and I don't trust. Like, there's some shitty drivers in Atlanta.
Yes.
And like there's shitty drivers everywhere. So I don't like driving around shitty drivers. So I will like scoot out and be away from people. And so anytime I'm like going that fast, I mean, I always like do it safely. I'm like, and it's like from riding motorcycles and stuff like that too. Like I'm just paying attention, and I just stay away from hazards. And anytime I'm thinking that I'm going to get pulled over, or if I ever get pulled over, I'm like, listen, I don't know if you know, but like there were some really crappy, horrible drivers about 2 miles back that I was just getting away from.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. I want to be able, to jump, 30, 40 miles an hour in a half a second to get away from the stupid truck.
Easily, just the way.
Yeah, that's what I want. I don't need to sustain it. I need it to be there when I need to get away.
Stupid. Like you can't, Yeah, I mean, like if I'm driving that fast, it's just in spurts. But
yeah, exactly. I was on the turnpike the other day. I'm like, oh, I'm going 100. God, I love this car. And then I'm like, I need to slow down because you always need to have at least 1 or 2 faster people in front of you.
Yeah, and you can go to jail for going to driving.
Yeah, exactly. These new cars, okay.
Yeah.
JR says, these new cars, you don't know you're pushing 100. Back in the 80s, the cars were loud and shook at 80.
Yeah, they would rattle. They let you know, like, oh, I'm getting to 80. I'm getting to 80. Oh,
I know. I actually got pulled over for speeding in my first car, and I'm like, I don't even know how he thought I was going over the speed limit. That poor Oldsmobile, but going up a mountain in an Oldsmobile, and I got pulled over for speeding. I'm like, are you kidding me? This poor car, rear-wheel drive, 84 Oldsmobile, was all metal, chugging up the mountain with his little V6 engine.
I got a ticket when I had my learner's permit when I was 15, and I was driving this. I was living in Minneapolis, and it was in the snow, and I was in this VW Beetle, and it was like a 3-speed Beetle. Like it was crazy. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but I was doing donuts in the Beetle, and I got pulled over, and like he's like, go home. go home. I was like, 'cause it wasn't my car, it wasn't insured. And and I was 15. I had a learner's permit. I didn't even have a driver's license. He's like, I'm not even gonna bother with you. Go home. I was like, okay, thanks. But yeah.
War Dog says he's done the Autobahn at 230 kph for a long ways. It was fun, and if someone flicks their lights at you, it means get over. Well, if someone
Yeah.
flicks their light, I mean that's international. I
Yeah.
mean the only difference is in Germany, I probably would get over. It pisses me off in New Jersey, and I don't get over.
Right. There's that.
Because if I'm like, I know I'm already going like 10, 15 miles over the speed limit because that's what everybody else is doing. And if you're going to get behind me and flick your lights, then you can just get around me.
Go around if you're going to do that. Because, but yeah, I mean, yeah, but there's that. I mean, I was driving in the south of France, and like the first time I got light flicked, I was like, oh my God, how dare you? But I'm like, yeah, you're not going, like, dude, you're driving the speed limit like an asshole, and you're in like the left lane. Get out of the lane.
Yep.
But driving, right? Yeah. So.
Yep. No, but yeah, I'm a typical. I'm like, yeah, if you're gonna flick your lights at me because I'm not breaking the law enough for you, then you can break the law and go around me on the wrong side. I'm terrible. I
mean, it's a whole thing, though. I mean, like I mean, that's how I practice my Zen. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like shitty driver, shitty person, right? Like, and I know that might not be the case because sometimes you're driving behind somebody and it's a little old lady, and you're like, oh, okay, or you feel like an asshole for whatever. But like, I feel like people's driving is an extension of their personality, and like, especially like living in LA, where like you just drive everywhere, and that you don't really interact with people like you do in New York. You know what I mean? Like, and so I have a hard time not personalizing or taking things personal by the way that people drive, because I'm just like, why do I want to fight this person? Because I'm like, just don't, like, I don't need to get my blood pressure up.
Yeah.
So I practice, like I'm courteous. I let people in, you know what I mean? Like, and when people don't let me in, I don't like have to like, I don't do the whole, I have tinted windows anyway. So, but I like, don't do the whole stare down, because people, they do shoot you.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. You don't know. My friends actually were driving outside of Harrisburg and accidentally cut somebody off, like, just switched lanes too quickly. But this person like followed them.
Yeah.
So yeah, you never know. You never know.
Like for my own blood pressure, because I have a crazy temper, and like I work diligently, like and have worked for years to keep my ire from being wrinkled, and I have to, and like every day, like with my kids, it's like I like if I don't yell, it's a good day. And but like with the driving though, like I really, it's like it's putting like the Zen Buddhist practice into place of just like
for me, driving in itself is usually pretty Zen. Got my music, got my car.
Yeah, because the thing is, you're never going to see these people again. It's not like you're going to be like, oh, that's that same asshole that cut me off on Tuesday. No, like you're never, like you're never going to see these people again. And like I just have to keep myself. It takes a lot to be me. Just
stay calm and drive on. Yep. Yep, Dave, that's great. That's great. Well, you know what? It is past your bedtime, and we have been talking for an hour, for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that, which I don't understand this shit, when I was a kid and I didn't have to go to school, I slept the fuck in. But my kids, because they're 5 and 7, and but they like the 5-year-old gets up at like 5:30, like on the weekends.
Oh my God!
And they're out of school for a week because it's Thanksgiving now, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And but like on a school day when I have to get like they can't peel them out of the bed and like run for the bus. I'm like, wait, where's the weekend guy that gets up at like 5:30 in the morning? You know what I mean? Because you don't have to go to school, so you want to spend the whole day. Like so. Anyway, that's why like I'm typically in bed. Like well, I don't know. I just know 5, 6 o'clock in the morning comes with a price every day. So. It's all good. It's all good. It's just part of daddy daycare. And,
there you go.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to be crying because I'm not here. and that's just how it goes. But thank you. I mean, like it's fun talking to you because I know you, and I hope that like down the road when some other shit comes out, like that or if we get an Orville deal, just
You'll be back.
I'm around. So obviously can talk my face off. So
yes, and I love it. And you are welcome back anytime. Thank you. And this was kind of short notice, so I really appreciate you.
Oh no, it's better this way. Like if you plan it too far in advance,
something comes up.
Does. And like I could have done it last Monday, but no, then I couldn't because anyway, you're a peach. And
oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And hopefully I can fix my computer. I'll ask my son, my 7-year-old, to fix my computer since he did something.
There you go. Oh, poor dog. That's very sweet of you to say. He said, I am the bomb for talking. Yeah. So yeah, I really appreciate it. So yeah, you are welcome back. Absolutely. Anytime. Guys, I have no idea what I'm doing next week, but you all know that. I always like to fly by the seat of my pants. So keep track of my socials so you can find out what's happening right here next week. Go follow Peter Macon art on Instagram so you can see all of his amazing artwork. Peter, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
And until I see you guys all next week, be sure to live long and prosper.
Oh, wait.
This is Connor Turner. You've been listening to the NX7062 podcast with Stephanie. Enjoy your evening.